Hello everyone and welcome to Katharine's Creatures. This one is actually episode 42, and instead of a creature I'm kind of going to be talking about an entity. One actually pulled from Slavic folklore and probably the most well-known entity from Slavic folklore. And so, a drum roll please, we are going to be mentioning and kind of touching base on Baba Yaga. So Baba Yaga is a supernatural being. She is often depicted as this kind of ferocious, if not even a deformed woman. And she has a lot of kind of iconic symbols associated with her, including a broom, which when I heard of that kind of made me think of a little more Western European kind of concepts of witches, even though she herself is not a true witch by definition. But she also flies around in a couple, travels in a couple unusual things, including flying around in a giant, maybe not so giant, but she flies around in a mortar. So what a mortar is, if you have no idea, mortar is part of the mortar and pestle concept. So the big bowl that you used to see people grinding herbs and stuff, that's a mortar and pestle. Well, the mortar is the bowl itself. So she flies around in that, is one of her vehicles of transportation. The other one is what she is most likely associated with, especially in modern retellings and references to her, because she lives deep, deep, deep in some of these forests area. And she has a house there away from society, away from everybody else. And the house is, has chicken legs. So it actually can stand up and move location to location, for good, bad, or the ugly. It could probably chase you. And I think that's why she's this kind of eerie concept of this old, aged, deformed woman in the woods. Again, a lot of parallels to the concept of witches, maybe why she's more often than not thought of as evil, even though that's not necessarily the case. And yes, it's true that she can be a hindrance. Maybe she does have some malevolent traits to her in some of the stories, but that's, again, not always the case. She also could be quite helpful. And she's, Baba Yaga is associated with wildlife, particularly those of the forest, and kind of, I guess, a protector almost of sorts of those creatures. And again, not always evil. But with that said, she's a very powerful entity, and actually some listings label her or put her alongside the Slavic gods, not because she is viewed as a deity, but because she has almost an equivalent level of power to those deities. So again, a very powerful entity who typically just likes living alone in the woods. But she has been referenced countless times, numerous times in modern fantasy and horror stories and tales. And of course she has a handful of notable stories from the Slavic myths of people having interactions with her. And if you are interested, you can easily find some of those stories just doing a quick little search. But she is definitely one of those beings that I have seen a lot of and heard of. So I feel like she was owed a creature feature of the week, and that is Baba Yaga. Now, if you have any questions about her or anything else, post them in the comments below or message me on my social media. And until next time, Skål.